Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's your friend Bats. My name is Jared, and today I want to talk about the cultural response to normies and Superman. And the way I kind of gauge things as normies is how does my mom respond to it? And so my mom is very much normal, I don't know, in the sense that I don't know. She's very normal. To me, she's very normal. She's into like she gets her information from television, from like the news, and from like talk shows. She likes. I know it's not Regis and Kelly, but whatever the Kelly show is now, she likes like USA Today and Good Morning America. She watches like all of those shows that are like. She's very like she's retired, but she's very housewife, and she knows celebrities because they talk on Jimmy Kimmel, or who she likes. She don't like Jimmy Kimmel. She likes the other guy, the Fallon. Yeah, and so that's how she knows pop culture is through her shows and through like the radio station on XM radio that she listens to. And, I guess also from me, but she heard a lot of buzz about Superman through the summer. So she saw like Rachel Brosnahan and David Cornsweet and Nicholas Hoult and James Gunn appear on kind of all her shows. And she saw clips of it. I showed her the trailers because my mom's really into dogs. And Crypto kind of looks like my dog Carl. And so she was, I was like, oh, my mom might like this Superman movie. And so she finally watched it. Was it last night or the night before? So she was sending me clips of her dog barking at the TV at Crypto, which is funny because her dog barks at there's a dog food commercial, whatever. The dog freaks out. And so it's just like, haha, now look, he's yelling at Crypto. And so I talked to my mom today. I said, hey, what'd you think of the Superman movie? And she goes, it was weird. And I was like, like my nerdy comic book fan brain wants to be like, well, you don't know what you're talking about, but I have to remember my mom is my mom and she's a normal person, not a weirdo like myself. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's kind of weird movie, huh? Like, she's like, yeah, like, I don't really know what was going on, but a lot of stuff was happening. And she's like, I really wish the dog was in it more. I'm like, oh yeah, you and a lot of other people said that. And she's like, and the guy, David Cornsweet, he's just really handsome. He's just handsome. I really like him. He's a really good Superman. And I was like, oh, cool. And like, she's like, but I don't really. She's like, those types of movies, those types of movies are just not my thing. I was like, so did you like it? She's like, I don't know. This kind of weird. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that's fair. It's kind of weird. It asks a lot of, normal people, huh? And she's like, yeah, like the city's being destroyed and Superman's fighting a Godzilla and they're ripping the world in half and he's a clone. I was like, yeah, it asks a lot of, people who don't, I guess, read comics. It asks a lot of them to be like, oh yeah, here's this character. And she's like, I don't know who any of these other people are. I thought we were watching a Superman movie and all these other people are here. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's true. And she's like, but I know you like it. So I was like, oh yeah, I love it. And she's like, I don't know if I cared for the lady who played Lois. I'm like, oh, why? She's like, she seems kind of mean. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of who she is, though. That's kind of her thing in the comics. She's kind of a hard-hitting journalist. And she's like, but what I really liked was she said this specifically. She's like, I really liked that they played the video of his parents in the beginning of the movie, but then at the end, spoiler alert if you haven't seen Superman, but at the end you got to see his real parents. That's what she said. And I was like, you mean his adoptive parents? And she's like, yeah, but those are his real parents. And it took me a second to absorb that information, because I've always said the Kents are Clark's parents. And my mom she's adopted by her grandparents. And so my grandparents growing up are my great grandparents. I don't really know my biological grandparents. And so when my mom goes, oh yeah, and then at the end you see his real parents, like, I realized that moment, that real human moment resonated with my mom, who also was raised by like an older couple who are also, my great grandmother's from like Arkansas, and my great grandfather was from Texas, or they're both Texas who moved to California. But I know my great grandmother is from Arkansas at one point, and my mom is also very like country. She likes to grow her own vegetables, and she's had horses, and she's got chickens, and they kind of have like a pseudo farm where my mom lives. And so my mom, and she lives out in like a very rural area. And so like my mom really resonates. She's like, oh, I love the parents. And so I was like, oh, so what my mom really resonated with, and I think a lot of people who saw the movie essentially for, this Superman movie, what they're resonating with is the very human moments, right? My mom's talking about she don't know who these other characters are, and the Godzilla guy, and the world ripping in half. That was all just nonsense to my mom, right? The robots, the kaiju, parallel, or was it pocket dimensions? That's all nonsense to my mom, right? She's like, oh, this is ridiculous. But the moments of the girlfriend being rude and the parents being very country and in the way they are, she's like, oh, they were really cute. I really liked them. The very human moments is really hit my mom. So she's like, I liked it, but it's really weird. And so the very fantastical things about Superman were like, yeah, whatever to her. And I find that really fascinating in the sense that in all the iterations of Superman before, a lot of people would say Superman's boring. But now with the James Gunn Superman, people are now resonating with Superman, going, oh, I never liked that character before, but now I like that character. And I think what it is they're really showing that human side of Clark has really like connected with audiences. And for Superman comic book readers like myself, that was one of the things that's always connected us in the first place. And that's why a lot of Superman comic book readers go, yeah, there's parts of each movie and each kind of iteration that I like, but they just quite haven't gotten it yet. And I think that's why they're with Superman 2025, people go, the comic book readers go, yeah, that's Superman. That's it. And even with the differences of like taking things and flipping it on its head and changing it, but still staying true to the character, has really resonated with not just the general public, but even the readers. And I was telling my mom, I was like, the reason I love Superman is not because he's Superman, because I love Clark. Clark is the more interesting character. I love that he's like this country bumpkin kind of kid who goes to the big city and has this big adventure. And my mom goes, "Oh, I've never thought of it that way." I'm like, "Yeah, he grew up on a farm and then he moves to the big city and gets a job and a girlfriend, and he's secretly a superhero. But who he is as a person is that he's just this good farm kid who wants to help all people." And my mom goes, "Okay, yeah, I get why you like him now." Because my mom's always like, "What's Superman?" And I'm like, "I just love Superman." And I think her seeing the movie now has her go, "Oh, okay." She like now understands why I love the character, and that's cool. That's really cool to me, and I appreciate that she, as just a woman in pushing 60, she goes, "Don't tell her I said that." Yeah, I should flip out. uh, uh, you know, that she thinks like the superhero-esseness of it, of like him fighting a kaiju and like the robots and then the world splitting in half and all that stuff. That's all silly. But like him having a mom and dad who care about him and call him and are proud of him, that really resonates with people. And that's always what's resonated with me with Superman. And it's cool for my mom to get to see that in a film. And so I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that my mom can find enjoyment in something that I just love. And that's really cool for me, because I know it's silly, but like at 40, my mom and I never really had any common interest ever. So, as well as my dad, who's my stepdad, but he's my dad. And him and my mom trying to figure out the movie where she's like, "Who's the girl at the end? I thought that was Superman's dog. Who's this chick?" I was like, "That's his cousin." It's like, "So that's her dog? How is she around?" And I have to explain like Supergirl's origin to my mom. She's like, "Is she getting her own movie?" I'm like, "Yeah, it comes out this summer." She's like, "See, I told you." She's yelling at my dad. She's like, "Yeah, she's getting her own movie." So it's funny watching or hearing normies trying to figure out a Superman movie, because James Gunn was like, "Yeah, everyone knows who Superman is. I don't need to redo all that crap," essentially. But then like the normies are like, "I don't know what's going on, but I like these things about him." So that's really cool, I guess. So I guess that's really all I have to say, is that I love that Superman manages to confuse as well as intrigue, if you will, intrigue the normies into the character. So yeah, those are my thoughts. Hope you guys have a good one, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.